The Confession of a Billionaire. From The Godfather's chilling pleas to American Psycho's disturbing routine. From the Joker's twisted truths to Roy Batty's haunting tears and rain. These stories prove one thing. Every fortune hides a secret, and every confession has a price. Stay with us, because in the next seconds, you won't just hear a story. You'll feel it. They call me brilliant. They call me self-made. They call me the American dream. But if I stripped away the lights, the cameras, the headlines, what would remain? A man drenched in shadows, clutching wealth that tastes of ash. I never meant to be this monster. But ambition is a quiet whisper at first. It promises you power. It promises you freedom. And when you give it just a taste of your soul, it demands arrest. My first million was not genius. It was theft. Not the kind you read about in newspapers. Not a masked man with a gun. No, my theft was cleaner, quieter. A signature on a contract that stole land from families too poor to fight back. A deal that looked legal but bled them dry. I told myself it was business. But in the silence of my own mind, I heard their cries. And when I crossed that line, I swore to myself it would be the last. But that is the curse of greed. It never whispers enough. It always hisses, more. So I bribed a politician. I silenced a journalist. I bought silence with checks larger than the truth. And with each sin, my empire grew. The world cheered for me, blind to the ruins beneath my feet. At night, I saw their faces. The boy with blistered hands in a factory I owned. The mother who wept as her land was stolen from my projects. The man who disappeared after speaking too loudly against me. Their ghosts do not scream. They stare, and their silence is louder than any courtroom gavel. This is not redemption. This is not forgiveness. This is a man tearing open his scars and letting the world see the rot beneath the silk. They say the first sin is the hardest. After you cross it, the others come easier. They were right. I remember the night I signed a contract that changed everything. A storm rattled against my window, the city glowing like a restless beast. In front of me lay a stack of papers, legal words, clauses, signatures. To anyone else, it was business. To me, it was theft wearing a tie. A piece of land, small, but rich with promise. It belonged to families who had lived there for generations. Farmers, mothers, children, people with little money, but a lot of pride. They begged me not to take it. They came to my office, hats in hand, voices trembling. One man even dropped to his knees. And I looked him in the eye, and I lied. I told him I would protect their land. I told him this deal would benefit them. But the ink on the contract was already poisoned. The next week, bulldozers rolled in. Their homes fell like broken teeth. Do you know what I did as their lives crumbled? I poured myself a glass of wine and watched the demolition from a distance, convincing myself it was progress. This is how empires are built. I whispered, but when the dust settled, I couldn't shake the sound. Not the machines, not the cracking of wood and stone. No, the sound that haunts me still is the cry of a little girl clutching her doll as her home collapsed. I saw her, just for a second, her eyes locked on mine, as if she knew exactly who had done this. And though thousands cheered me later for my vision, her silence cut deeper than their praise ever healed. That was my first real fall. And once you fall once, gravity does the rest. The politicians came next. They smelled money, and I smelled opportunity. One bribe turned into two. Two turned into a network. Soon, I could silence any opposition, crush any resistance. I had judges, police officers, journalists, all dancing on invisible strings I pulled. The newspapers called me a genius. The magazines put me on their covers. And all the while, I knew I was nothing but a thief dressed in silk. But here's the truth. I didn't stop. I didn't even slow down. Because when you've tasted power, when you've seen the world bend under your influence, you cannot go back to being ordinary. You cannot go back to being small. So yes, my empire began with betrayal, with the cry of a little girl holding a broken doll. And that cry still echoes. Wealth is a strange poison. At first, it tastes sweet like honey on the tongue. But the more you drink, the more it burns. until you're addicted, until you'd rather choke than stop. After the land deal, the money flowed faster than I ever imagined. Contracts, partnerships, secret handshakes, and smoky backrooms. I stopped counting my millions. I started counting my power. My name appeared in magazines, Forbes lists, television interviews. People clapped when I walked into a room, not because they loved me, but because they feared what it would mean not to. My empire stretched across cities, countries, oceans. But empires are not built on genius alone. They are built on bones. I told the world I was creating opportunities. In truth, I was building cages. Cheap labor, long hours, no mercy. Men and women bent their backs until they broke. Children worked until their childhoods vanished. And yet, I smiled for the cameras. I posed with world leaders. I donated millions to charities, building a mask polished enough to blind anyone who tried to see the truth. But at night, always at night, the mask cracked. The cries of the dispossessed seeped into my dreams. The little girl with the doll, the mother who begged for her land, the worker whose hands bled onto machines that bore my name. The higher I climbed, the more ghosts followed me. I saw them in the boardrooms, standing behind my partners as we toasted another victory. I saw them in mirrors, staring back at me when I shaved in the morning. Sometimes, I even heard them whisper my name, soft, broken voices reminding me of the cost of my empire. But I didn't stop. I couldn't stop, because every time I felt guilt pressing down, I buried it under more wealth. When regret gnawed at me, I silenced it with another deal, another billion. You see, I told myself a lie. The lie that once you reach a certain height, the air will clear. That once you have enough, the demons will disappear. But it's not true. The air only gets thinner. The demons only grow louder. And soon, I was no longer a man. I was a machine driven by greed, fueled by fear, haunted by ghosts. And machines do not rest. They only consume. Every empire looks unshakable until the cracks appear. At first, they were small. A lawsuit from workers claiming abuse. A protest outside one of my factories. A whisper of corruption in the newspapers. I laughed them off. I thought myself untouchable. But rot spreads quietly, and when it surfaces, it devours fast. One of my closest partners betrayed me. He sold documents to the press. Papers that bore the truth. The bribes, the child labor, the stolen land. Overnight, I went from visionary to villain. The headlines cut sharper than knives. The devil in a suit. Empire greed. The billionaire butcher. Crowds gathered outside my office. They screamed my name not with admiration, but with hatred. My family turned away. My children stopped speaking my name. My wife left without a word. For the first time, I stood in my mansion surrounded by gold and glass, and I was utterly, terrifyingly alone. The ghosts grew bolder. The little girl with the doll no longer just stared. She followed me. The workers' cries no longer whispered. They screamed. I stopped sleeping. My empire crumbled. Investors fled. Allies betrayed me. Governments turned their backs. Do you know what it feels like to watch everything you built collapse like a house of cards? It doesn't fall slowly. It falls all at once. And I wasn't a hero fighting for survival. I was a criminal trying to cover his tracks. The truth is relentless. It claws through lies. It burns through silence. And soon, the world saw me for what I was. Not a genius, not a visionary, but a parasite. I discovered the one thing money cannot buy: peace. And with every scream, every betrayal, every sleepless night, I drowned further in the ocean I created. I am no longer the man on magazine covers. No flashing cameras wait for me. No crowds chant my name. I am a relic, rotting in silence, my fortune fractured, my allies gone. And yet, even here, stripped of power, I am not free. The ghosts remain. The little girl with the doll. The farmer who begged for his land. The worker who bled on my machines. They are my jury, and I am already condemned. I thought I could outlive them. But time is no healer. It sharpens the truth like a blade. I am dying, not from bullets or scandal, but from the weight of myself, from the realization that everything I built was nothing but ashes. The cruelest part? It wasn't the money that destroyed me. It was the hunger for it. The lie I told myself. Just one more deal. Just one more billion. Then I'll stop. But there is no stopping. Greed is a staircase without an end. So I confess, not for forgiveness. I know it will never come. Not for sympathy. I do not deserve it. But for you, because if you hear my words, if you feel my pain, maybe you will not take the same road I did. They will tell you money is freedom. They will tell you power is happiness. Do not believe them. I am a billionaire. I am a monster. And I am a man who traded his soul for a kingdom of smoke. Remember this. Every fortune hides a secret. Every confession has a price. And sometimes that price is everything you are. Look closely into this mirror I've left behind. Because one day, the face staring back might not be mine. It might be yours.